everybody, it's Sid from Cool Movie Gram, your source for everything about cool film. If you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button, check out my videos, like my video and comment, and all the usual stuff. And those of you who've already done that, thank you very much and welcome back to the channel. We are continuing the month of FU-BRUARY again with my top 50 Kung Fu movies of all time. We are this time around the fourth video, which is going to be covering the movies 35 to 31. So without further ado, let's just dive into this. Number 35 is The Seven Grandmasters, a 1977 movie directed by Joseph Koh, starring Jack Long, Lee Min, and Nancy Yen. A veteran Kung Fu expert Sang Kwon-chung wants to retire from the martial arts world, but he is challenged to prove his worth by fighting 7 of the best experts in China. On his travels, a poor boy Xiu Yin joins him and learns Kung Fu from this master. But who is this young stranger? Why does he really want to learn Kung Fu from this man? This film, again, it's just the setup of it is just so amazing. The fact that you see this man who's on his journey and the fact that he fights 7 of these different masters. One of them, of course, being a very young Corey Yun in kind of like old man makeup, but he just looks absolutely wow, looking like an older man. But it's just the fight choreography in this is just sublime. It's absolutely like really effective, really well done, and it's just a breath, really interesting to watch, and as well as some interesting training sequences happen, and the ending is kind of a surprise, especially if you haven't seen this movie. Jack Long himself, I mean, this is his show. I mean, Lee Min, of course, you get to see him shine more in like Mystery of Chess Boxing as the leading man, but here Jack Long is pretty much given like center stage, and he performs absolutely amazing. Some great acrobatic ability, great shapes, and some interesting styles of martial arts that's been shown throughout the film. And even the way that it's directed, it just makes use of some really great, like, interesting scenery. I don't know if this movie was filmed in Korea or was it in parts of China or not, but it just looks absolutely very scenic, very beautiful. But at the same time, the choreography in the way that it's shot, I mean, you got these long takes of these actors just doing some absolutely insane martial arts. It just looks really incredible, and even when comparing to fights from today's standards, you just think that this movie holds up in such a great way. And I mean, it has become like a staple for many Kung Fu aficionados, especially when it comes to the movies, that this is one of like the must-see films, and it's a favorite of many people that I know. Number 34 is Secret Rivals, starring John Liu, Wang Tao, and Huang Zhengli. It's a 1976 film directed by James Nam and Mu Yun. Northern Leg, a kicking expert from China, is traveling to Korea in search of a man responsible for the death of his parents. Whilst on his quest of vengeance, he locks horns with Southern Fist, another Kung Fu expert and government agent who is investigating a gold robbery. Both of them set their sights on a deadly gang and their ruthless leader, the Silver Fox. Well, yeah, this was the first film that was produced by Ng Si-yun's seasonal films. Of course, this was in a market that was pretty much heavily dominated by Shaw Brothers and, of course, even Golden Harvest at that time. But this just came as a surprise. I mean, you got the Wang Tao did okay in this film. He was pretty much for someone who was actually trained in Taekwondo. He was actually playing someone who mainly uses like a fist style, whereas John Liu, who was who's like a Taekwondo expert and champion, you get to see his kicks, and at the same time, the main villain, the Silver Fox, played by Huang Zhengli, Again, their kicking ability in this movie is just absolutely insane. And you get some great training sequences. Of course, you get to see John Liu kind of like smash a few kind of like pots and bowls and whatnot, like with his kicks and whatnot, and just showing how swift he is. There is kind of like a love rivalry kind of subplot going on between the two men, but then that just doesn't really kind of like take off too much. But yeah, but when it comes to like just the kung fu displayed, or even the taekwondo was pretty good. I mean, Wang Tai does get like a great sequence where he gets to kind of display some use of like nunchaku in this film, which was pretty effective and quite interesting to watch. And even the use of like Ennio Morricone's theme to the Big Gun Down was just was quite effective, and has been used for probably many of the kung fu movies at the same time. But then again, a lot of his music has usually been kind of like a staple, where people just left it, because back then they didn't really care much about copyrights in terms of like using music. But yeah, Secret Rivals and even the sequel, I would say definitely Secret Rivals 2 are both definitely worth checking out, just for just some amazing choreography. And again, the scenery of like South Korea that was actually used in this film was really great, and you get to see some really interesting like bouts. There's a lot of fights in this movie, especially like when you get to see them kind of going through a martial arts contest, where you see the see them kind of like taking on like Russian wrestlers and whatnot. Really kind of like a classic unsung martial arts movie. A lot more people need to see this, and also this definitely needs to get released on a Blu-ray.
He comes from beyond time, from beyond the outer limits of your imagination. He's the master of the flying guillotine.
Number 33 is Master of the Flying Guillotine, a 1976 movie directed by Jimmy Wang Yu, starring Jimmy Wang Yu, Chin Kang, Doris Lung and Lung Fei. After learning of his students' deaths at the hands of the one-armed boxer, a blind assassin disguises himself as a Buddhist monk brandishing the flying guillotine, a flying weapon with hanging off a chain, which is designed to just land and decapitate its prey. Now, this film, again, I mean, even though the fight choreography was actually done by Lau Ka-leung and Lau Ka-wing, I mean, this independent Taiwanese sequel to Jimmy Wang Yu's initial film with Golden Harvest, which was the one-armed boxer. I mean, this in some markets this is known as the one-armed boxer 2. I mean, that's what the DVD was released as in the UK. This kind of just ups the ante. This is just full of like so much creativity. It's just so much kind of like slap bang fun. There's like a martial arts tournament going on, and the fact that you see this man just kind of like just decapitating people, if you even at the mention of this person having one arm, and you get to see like Jimmy Wang Yu's character is now running a school, just kind of like literally just take on so many like different opponents and coming up with different kind of traps to take on his opponent in the Fallen Shoulder. And the fact that one of he fights like a Thai boxer, which was in quite an interesting setup. The fact that it's like in like a hot box where it's just surrounded by metal, just to kind of like throw his opponent off guard, kind of be heated up. This is because he's always fighting barefoot. And then also there's this Indian guy with like a turban. Wow. It looks like an Indian guy, probably a Chinese guy, but it looks like it, yeah. And his arms are extending in the air whilst he fights. And a clear inspiration on the character Dalsim from Street Fighter. And I mean, again, this was also, I mean, even Quentin Tarantino has said how much he loved it. This is one of the few kind of like movies that got like a US release, and it kind of became a huge hit in the United States, along with Five Fingers of Death. I mean, it's one of those cult classics. I mean, so many people have been kind of begging for a great release of this film. I think Warner Brothers did release it when it came out in the cinemas, but I don't know who holds the rights, whether there is actually a really good print out there available. I mean, I would love to see this kind of remastered, like in, you know, a 2K, 4K restoration, just, you know, just to see just this brilliance, this kind of visual kind of treat, this absolute kind of like a film filled with mayhem. To be able to witness it would just be an absolute delight, and I hope someone does. I mean, if anybody who does know who's got the rights, I mean, just come on, man, stop sitting on them. Number 32 is Shaolin Temple, a 1976 film this time around, directed by Chung Che. And of course, this is the Shaw Brothers production, which stars David Chung, Ti Lung Fuxing, Wang Lung Wei, and a host of others. Fang Shiyu joins the Shaolin Temple to learn Kung Fu in order to avenge his family. Although struggling with his training and also to be accepted, he is actually he finds friends and forms a brotherhood with former Ming soldiers who have turned anti-Qing rebels. They help him train and learn a style. But of course, the temple is also home to Qing spies and traitors, which leads to chaos that is brimming close in the temple walls. This is just like pretty much an epic, you know, Chang Che's kung fu epic, in terms of like when it comes to just hand-to-hand combat. I mean, the fight scenes, I mean, this is one of the first films that he had actually directed without Lau Kar Leung and Lau Kar Wing, and instead of being the usual Chang's film company, this was actually still, you know, shot in the Shaw Brothers studios. And you get to see, like, you know, how each of these heroes, including people like Philip Kwok, you got you've got Chi Kwon Chun, you got who else? Got Lee Min, and a host of all the others. This band of like great kind of heroes who kind of like these youngsters that kind of kneel outside the temple just to kind of like be tested, to be able to come in and learn kung fu. And you know, the fact that each of them goes through a different journey, learning in like different styles from different masters, and to be able to kind of like perfect their own skills. And you know, you got Wang Lung Wei again, he's just great as a bad guy. And you know, you got people like Lu Feng and many others kind of like featured throughout this film. It's like an all-star cast. You know, the production values in this film were really good. And you know, it's almost like after Chinatown Kid, this was like another kind of like early kind of apprenticeship, I would say, for the Venom mob, who ended up kind of making like a bunch of classics with the director Chang Che going on afterwards. And this is, again, I mean, if you can grab hold of, well, the Short Scope Volume 1 is actually out of print, but then they still doing like films by Chang Che box set where you can actually get the Shaolin Temple as actually one of them via Arrow Video. But definitely, I mean, the Blu-ray just looks absolutely incredible. And the film itself, again, it's a must-see. It's kind of almost like a prequel to Five Shaolin Masters, where majority of the actors, especially like people like Johnny Wang Lung Wei and also like Ti Lung and David Chang, they're pretty much playing the same characters that they did in Five Shaolin Masters, but some of them are playing different characters and some may have a different fate. But yeah, this is a really, really kind of like just such an amazing film. I mean, it was one of the films on the Short Scope box set that I've actually visited more than just once. It is that good.
I've got the perfect job for you.
Number 31 is The Young Master. Direct 1980, directed by Jackie Chan. It stars Jackie Chan, Wei Pai, Tim Feng, Yun Bu, Shikin, and Wang Yinsik. Tiger betrays his school by performing in a line dance contest for the rival school, and he leaves. His younger brother, Dragon, follows to bring him back by the orders of the master, but he is mistaken for Tiger, who was involved in in breaking free a dangerous criminal. Yeah, this was Jackie Chan's first kind of major movie with Golden Harvest, after of course parting ways with the Lowe's Goodyear Film Company, and this was the first of his $10 million contract, because that was the biggest contract at the time. Raymond Chow had said to him, "I'll give you $10 million for a 3-picture deal where you would get the full creative control, and you can be the star, you can be the director, and you can shoot the film however you want." Yeah, and it kind of proved to be a very successful kind of start off for Jackie Chan's kind of Golden Harvest era, where of course Golden Harvest was where he made pretty much the best of his films. I mean, he did some of the best films, especially as rather an actor and a filmmaker, especially predominantly the films he directed, and also the films that he had actually featured in, which were predominantly directed by Sammo Hung at that time, especially during the 80s. In terms of the martial arts, this film is it's the great fight choreography, especially the apart from the first initial kind of lion dance duel that we see happening between, it's very creative. You see them kind of perform these great jumps and flips and whatnot, but then throughout the movie especially, we see Jackie Chan kind of using a fan against Fan Mei Xing at the rival school, and then also his kind of encounters with Yun Bu, who kind of fights with a bench. I mean, they were done really well, and even it was quite surprising to see Shikin, who of course most people in the West would know him as Mr. Han from Enter the Dragon, playing a kind of a supporting role, who's a police captain, and it's actually his kind of interaction with Jackie Chan in this movie is actually really funny, especially with the whole mistaken identity thing going on. And even Lily Lee gets to kind of get in with it, and kind of show an impressive kind of skirt fighting kind of style, using with kicks, which kind of inspires him to kind of use in a different fight later on in the movie. And I mean, Wang In-sik, who's the main bad guy in this movie, the man that actually taught Jackie Chan Hapkido, because he actually was able to kind of achieve a black belt in the martial art after learning Hapkido from Wang In-sik, who was also with Jackie Chan in the movie Hapkido, where Jackie Chan was an extra. But he learned it alongside Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, Yun Bu was there, and I think also, of course, Sammo Hung, Carter Wong, and Angela Mao. They'd actually all learned the art whilst making the movie Hapkido. And his kind of, especially the scene when they break him free from the police kind of the policemen that are escorting him to court. That scene, especially when he kind of just drinks the water, throws the bucket and just kicks people, and his kicking is just absolutely insane in that movie. And the ending, especially where Jackie Chan kind of literally just takes a beating in this movie just in order to actually eventually kind of tire down and take on his opponent. But the fact is, that was again just him, the fall, the flips, and just kind of the stunt work involved was amazing. And I mean, it was such a huge hit on release as well. And even though there's different editions that have been floating around. I mean, the English dub has different scenes, but of course the ending was kind of shortened, and with of course a different music score which was used in the Japanese version. And the Taiwanese version, which is now long lost, but there's only maybe a couple of scenes here and there that they were able to kind of recover, but there's never been a great kind of transfer or even a great print available for that movie to restore in this full Taiwanese language version. But of course, I mean, apparently Jackie Chan's original cut was so long they had to actually bring in somebody else in order to actually help him kind of edit the films down, and in another editor who actually ended up working on all of his films up until Who Am I, and then he was he had actually kind of put the movie together, piecing it bit by bit. But I mean, this was pretty much just the great lengths and the great strides that Jackie Chan had to kind of like to achieve in terms of like becoming the powerhouse of martial arts cinema that he is today. Right, wow, yeah, that was my films 35 to 31 in this series. Please let me know in the comments what you think of these films, and definitely I will be seeing you on the next one.